Hello and welcome to the note or lesson on how much water do we use. So what I want you to be able to do at the end of this one is I want you to be able to determine the weekly water usage using your variety of math skills. So at the start of this unit you had to do an energy audit at home, and one of your requirements was to figure out or determine how much water you're using in your house on a daily basis. So now we're going to talk about unit rate and water consumption. So the first thing I have here is making a comparison of unit rate. So here we have liters per hour, so 5 liters per hour, and we're comparing it to 1 liter every 5 hours. So 1 liter per 5 hours. So I'll write that out. Alright, so how do they differ in terms of interpreting unit rate? Well, quite simply put, for this one, each hour of use results in 5 liters. We'll go to the other one. We know that we have 5 hours uses 1 liter. So now if we divide that out, if we divide by 5 to get it to 1 hour, we're going to divide that by 1 as well. So we end up with, therefore, 1 hour uses 1/5 of a liter, and of course you can use your calculator for that, but you'd end up with 0.2 liters. So this is a much higher rate of consumption. Higher rate of consumption. Alright. So you need to make sure when you're reading it, you interpret it correctly because they can be given in a different unit rate. So the second one I have here is in a similar fashion. The only difference is 3 liters per hour. One's metric and one's imperial. So we have 3 liters per hour, and the other one we have 3 gallons per hour. So when you're looking at dealing with the difference here, you have to be able to compare apples with apples. So you can't make this comparison very easily unless we're in the same units. So I'm going to convert 3 gallons per hour to 3 liters per hour. So we know that from our conversion charts that 1 liter is 0.22 gallons, 0.22 gallons, and it's going to be equal to our liters compared to our gallons. Now we are dealing with 3 gallons, so the process we've been doing the last couple of days, the number that's by itself is divided by its corresponding value. So 3 divided by the 0.22, we get 13 decimal, we'll call it 6. Take that number, and we multiply it by the remaining one, which is 1. So we have 13.6 as our answer. So therefore, 3 gallons per hour is equal to, or the equivalent of, 13.6 liters per hour. So if this one is 3 liters per hour, then this one is a much smaller rate of consumption. A much smaller rate of consumption. So in order to compare units of measure, you got to make sure you're in the same units to make that comparison legitimate and possible. So keep that in mind. So I'll take care of some of the earlier questions you're going to deal with. The last part here is I have 2 examples. So for the first one, Sean spends 8 minutes in the shower, and that shower has a head that uses 9 liters per minute. So I'm going to break this apart right off the start. So Sean, so his time, T, is 8 minutes, and he's using 9 liters every minute. Nick, on the other hand, he typically takes a 13-minute shower, 13 minutes, and his particular shower head only provides 5 liters each minute. So if we want to know the total water usage here, we will simply take the time involved, so the 8, and we're going to multiply it by our usage, 9 liters per minute. 8 times 9, and we end up with 72 liters for Sean. On the other hand, we take next time, multiply it by his water consumption rate here, so 13 times the 5 gives us 65 liters. So therefore, Nick will use less water even though he showers. And if you look at the time differential there, 13 from 8, so that's an additional showers 5 minutes longer. Okay, so I will add a formula here for you, something you'll put on your foldable. So when we're looking at this, and maybe I'm going to create the triangle for you. Oops. Probably a little bit more handy for you. So I'll put it off to the side here. So what we're looking at is we'll go with volume. Okay, is determined by time multiplied by usage. I'll just put the word in there. So similar to how we were talking about how triangles function. If you want to find, and in this question I wanted to find how much water, so your volume, then you would multiply. So this vertical line tells you to multiply, and this one tells us we need to do the division, so it depends on what you're looking for. So we can add that to our toolkit as we move through here. So if you leave the hose running 1.5 liters per minute to water new grass for the entire time you're at school, answer the following. So how much water would be used in 1 hour? Well, we know that from that chart I just gave us here, time and usage, I'm looking for how much water, so I'm looking for a volume. So that means that I will need to do a time multiplied by usage. So to find that volume, I know it's going to run for 1 hour, but we've got to do it in the same units, okay? So here it's in hours, here it's in minutes, so therefore we need to make sure we convert. So 1 hour, we have to multiply that by 60, because there's 60 minutes in an hour, multiply by 1.5, and when we do that, we end up with 90 liters. So therefore, 90 liters in 1 hour. So you need to make sure you are using the same units. How much water would be used over the 8 hours? Well, let's just go from A part. We know 1 hour is equal to 90 liters. If we want to go to 8 hours, we'd have to multiply by 8 here. So that means 8 hours would equal 720 liters. So therefore, it will use 720 liters. So if a bottle of water can hold 500 milliliters, how many bottles of water did you put on your lawn? So think of it in terms of bottles of water. Now 500 milliliters, for those that aren't sure, that's equal to half a liter. So we're going to take the total amount of water, so 720 liters, and we're going to divide it by 1 bottle. And I guess keep the L's in there. You don't really need the units. So this is our total amount. This is the portion size. So when you do the division on that, 720 divided by 0.5 or half, that's 1,440 bottles of water. Okay, and break that down a little bit further, if we go to cases of water and divide it by I guess they come in 24s. Divided by 24. Okay, that's 60 cases of water. Alright, just to put it in perspective for you. So therefore, it would take 1,440 bottles. So a significant amount of water when you think of it in terms of bottles. So there are the calculations. Now you can probably going to work through that chart that I gave you because I want to talk about water consumption. So those are the skills you need in order to complete that particular task.